Misogyny. What is it? Most people have probably heard of misogyny before, and might think, I already know what misogyny is, so I don't need to watch this video. To be clear, this video is not meant to condescendingly assert the one true definition of the word. Rather, I hope to use this medium to describe a particular definition of the word that was defined by Kate Manne in the book Down Girl. I believe describing this definition helps not only to make discussion about particular social phenomena that many women face more easy to address, but it also helps translate the concerns of feminists in line with Kate Manne so that their ideas provoke less intense defensiveness. It is rational to feel on edge or be defensive about the use of a word like misogyny if one expects the dictionary definition, a hatred of women. It is widely understood to be a deep psychological disorder in which a man at his core harbors utter contempt for all women, and by extension everything that is feminine. By many people's understanding of this definition, one would have to hate all of their female relatives for them to be properly misogynistic, even their own mother. This common understanding and usage is even backed by psychologists like Dr. Berit Brogard, who describes it as a condition that is caused as a result of a trauma involving a female figure. The definition that Kate Manne defines in her book has ultimately much less to do with psychology and much more to do with systematic enforcement of social norms, particularly enacted towards women as they try to gain a more comprehensive array of rights and freedoms in society. To start us off, I will share an example of how this systematic version of misogyny is fomented in ordinary assumptions that might seem relatively harmless. Manne describes a large cause for systematic misogyny to be the basic gendered expectations that a man might have of a woman. One example presented by Manne is this. Imagine you are waiting in a restaurant for your server to take your order, but when it comes time to order food, the server refuses to wait on you. Or, worse, they demand that you wait on them. That would be understandably frustrating. The essence of this example is the idea that we are coded to feel entitlement in certain social scenarios. When we expect something that we feel owed and then do not receive it, it feels like a slight. Unfortunately, this sense of entitlement often extends to what men expect of women in society. Men oftentimes expect women to be passive, caring, and disposed to give unto them. When women seek greater social rights and freedoms, they subvert traditional norms and defy that which is expected of them. This puts them in particular jeopardy of retaliation at the hands of misogyny. This retaliation may come in a variety of forms. That is, Manne defines it as any negative discriminatory treatment along specifically gendered lines. While domestic violence is an obvious form of misogyny, other less direct forms might include exclusion from a conversation, ignoring their ideas but then bringing them up later as one's own, or not allowing women to voice their opinions by talking over them consistently. Misogyny might be as simple as assuming that a woman who does not put on her makeup or do her hair is having a bad day, or that something must be wrong with them because of it. This qualifies because they are socially expected to decorate themselves, and when they don't, they are breaking that gendered expectation. The same goes for shaving. If a woman chooses not to shave her legs, for instance, she might be regarded as gross or unsightly. The reaction is thus a direct product of a gendered norm being challenged. Women are expected to shave, because having hairy legs is not considered feminine. Why should it be of any concern how feminine one looks to another, unless there exists a certain expectation that femininity is for male enjoyment? In other words, the larger expectation being defied is that since women are expected to decorate themselves to appear attractive to men, not doing so is a refusal to provide a societally expected female service. In Manne's definition of misogyny, one need not hate their own mother to qualify as enabling misogyny. Rather, they simply must act in a way that serves to police and push back against any perceived deviation from societally expected roles. Misogyny is thus about enforcing gendered norms. Anyone not acting within their prescribed role could be affected by misogyny. However, the term generally suggests that women get the worst of this gender conformity policing. Manne writes that its victims primarily tend to be considered traitors to the cause of gender, or bad women entering positions of power and authority over men, and women eschewing or opting out of male-oriented service roles. Among others, its natural targets will be feminists. Furthermore, Manne suggests that within this systematic understanding of misogyny, almost all women are its potential victims, because one need not actually break with patriarchal norms to be targeted by it. Rather, any woman might serve as a symbolic or representative substitute for another that has broken a norm. In Manne's words, one woman might be made to pay for the supposed sins of others. So, next time somebody uses the term misogyny, consider that they might not be referring to the dictionary definition, and that they might not be aiming to accuse all men of having a deep psychological condition. Rather, it is much more likely that they are using Manne's definition, and that they mean to address a social phenomenon in which women and gender norm defiers, in general, become the target of humiliation and systematic disapproval when they seek further rights, freedoms, or ways of expressing who they are.